Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game is worth your time and cash. Today's game is Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. Chaos. The unending entropy. The inevitability of all creation. But what if you could, I don't know, just punch chaos in the face? Jack is here to find out. Stranger of Paradise is an Xbox, PlayStation, and PC release that is on both last and next gen. The game will last you about 20 to 30 hours to complete the main game, and it MSRP'd at $60. So what exactly is Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin? Well, it's a spectacle fighter set in the Final Fantasy I universe and made by Team Ninja, the crew that also made the fantastic Neo games. Set before the events of Final Fantasy I, you play as Jack, the most memeable and no-nonsense man alive, who sets off on a quest with two randos who hang out just because they all have the same color orbs. Don't read too much into that. To defeat chaos. What is chaos? Is it real? Can it even be defeated? All this and more are answered, though Jack usually just tells people to shut the hell up and get to the point if they try and monologue at him. But the actual meat and potatoes is the combat, which is more similar to a spectacle fighter like Devil May Cry than, say, Dark Souls. The game does have bonfire-esque checkpoints which respawn enemies, but you don't really lose much on death, there's no stamina bar, and the game is much flashier and faster paced even than Neo, the closest comparison I could make. Combat is pretty simple. You have not one but two blocks, one being basic and the other costing you poise, but allowing you to absorb enemy magic and use it for yourself. For attacking, you have a basic R1, as well as several R2 attacks that cost mana, which can be mapped to different points in your combo chain. New R2 abilities are unlocked by the job system. Every job has its own unique ability that is mapped to R2 on its own, such as thief stealing an enemy's abilities, or mages entering a spell menu. However, as you kill enemies, your jobs will level up, allowing you to progress down a skill tree to learn more moves. Additionally, filling up skill tree paths will allow upgrades to more advanced jobs, all the way into some uber game-ending ones. The new R2 moves you can learn on jobs aren't tied to the jobs, but rather the weapon, meaning if you unlock a cool spear move as Dragoon, but decide to use spears on a knight instead, you can still use that move as long as it's set to your spear. Pretty neat. Jack can equip two jobs at once and switch between them on the fly, meaning character building is very highly customizable. R2 abilities are fueled by mana, which Jack starts with only a little bit but gains more and increases his maximal over the course of a mission by doing executions. Enemies, like you, have both health and poise, and if you break an enemy's poise, you can execute them. This not only kills them instantly, but also gives both more mana and maximum mana, which can then be used for your R2 abilities. The levels themselves are fairly linear and honestly not too complex, especially when compared to a Neo level. They do have shortcuts back, but generally you'll just be plowing ahead. They're all themed around zones from other Final Fantasy games, which is a nice touch and a cute Easter egg for those familiar with the franchise. So all in all, Stranger of Paradise is a 3D action brawler with a robust combat and skill tree system, a lot of great difficulty options for beginners and veterans alike, and an absolutely ludicrous story. So what do I like about Stranger of Paradise? Well, combat feels fantastic, with a massive variety of weapons and jobs to choose from that let you build your character in different ways based on every situation. Additionally, jobs level up quickly and are extremely satisfying to improve and unlock new ones, with the tons available paired with a plethora of weapons giving you a bunch of customization. And lastly, I actually liked how stupid the story was for about the first 2/3 of the game. I know, but it was funny dumb to me in the way the later Fast and the Furious movies are, and for the first time in a while, I actually didn't skip a single cutscene in a JRPG because I just couldn't wait to see what new and exciting dumbass thing Jack would do this time. When it comes to the bad, the story takes itself way too seriously by the end, which ruins the whole it's stupid and self-aware vibe that I loved for basically the first 2/3 of the game. It does not end strong. Additionally, the game is a technical mess on both console and PC, with Series S in particular running the last-gen version rather than the upgraded one, and regardless of which system you play on, the game looks old, dated, and struggles to hit 60 FPS even in performance mode. And lastly, the game repeats and palette swaps enemies constantly, with there maybe only being about 10 or so actual unique enemies over the course of the game. This is a big bummer considering how customizable the character is. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, don't bother. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin is definitely a maybe consider. It got memed a lot for good reason, but ultimately its core is a surprisingly solid action game marred by what I assume were budget restraints and technical problems. The fact that it runs poorly on everything, especially Series S and last-gen consoles, is a big downside, and paired with the fact that it looks straight out of the early Xbox One days certainly doesn't help. I think the biggest crime this game committed, though, was Square not budget pricing it at $40, as that would have reflected the game's obvious AA rather than AAA production values. Regardless, I still think it's quite a bit of fun if you enjoy spectacle fighters, just don't pay more than $30 for it. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this game in the comments, and go out there and check out Stranger of Paradise.